Hey everybody, it's Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai, and today I'm going to work on two entirely different trees, but they do have one characteristic in common, which makes them look really, really dumb. And that is that you can still see the outline of the old pot in the new pot. So this is not the exact same pot, but you can get the idea. So it was in a pot like this, and I just took it out of that pot and put it straight into this without doing any kind of manipulation of the roots. And so now you've got a tree that just looks dumb. The whole idea of bonsai is to make a natural looking tree, and having that old root ball from the old pot, and you can see all the way around, just makes it look dumb. Number two, exactly the same thing. This is a Nia, and it's interesting because I've wanted to do this video earlier, but I didn't want to repot this tree any earlier because it was still a little too cold. And I don't have the old pot it came from, and it's funny because the moss has begun to form, but it's pretty obvious. The old pot was here, and then basically here. And once again, just looks dumb. Now this tree has some other problems. One fact is that it's leaning way back, so it needs to come up like this, probably like that. And then we can deal with the styling. Whether the styling is dumb as a different issue. But this is just, I guess I'd have to admit, just laziness, just yanking it out of the old pot and sticking it into the new pot without even making any attempt to soften the edges of the old pot. So it's easy enough to rectify, and that is, of course, to do another repotting and a root pruning, which includes removing those roots. So I'm going to start with the jade. Now this is another tree that, in theory, the front of this tree should be in line with either this long part of the pot or this, and there is really no front for any of those. I suppose we could do something in here, but it really doesn't have much of a front. Thinking very seriously of actually changing it to here and taking everything else off, all of that, cutting it all the way back and creating a tree which would give it instant taper, and it's got some decent roots, so that will be the front, like that. That's what I'm thinking. Although that is not necessary to accomplish today. It isn't. I talk if you've watched my other videos, a lot of times I talk about that bonsai is very Zen Buddhism. And part of Zen is that if you're confused, wait. So if you don't really know what it is that you want to do with the tree, there's no reason to just think to yourself that you have to decide. It's just not like that for me. This is just for me. So anyway, I do want to get rid of the root ball, and I'm going to, as is typical when I do some kind of root pruning, I am going to remove a tremendous amount of the excess growth. Okay. And I think it's going to still be good in this pot, so I'm going to keep it in this pot. And then the next thing I need is, probably need my root hook. And I guess we can zoom in a little bit. and get the plant out of the pot. It really hasn't rooted that much into the new soil. And I've got some screen, but it's actually macrame screen, but it's so old that it's deteriorated to the point where it's no longer usable. And this pot has 2 drain holes, but I may go back to just window screen. And typically, it's a whole lot easier to just do one large piece of screen that covers the whole bottom of the pot. So there we go. Window screen on the bottom of the pot. And so now, let's get rid of these dumb looking roots. And with all my Portulacaria, when I do and this is what I did not do the last time I repotted this, I did not get rid of the old silhouette. Okay, I'm really thinking that that is a nice front right there. And perhaps even getting rid of all of this. So that's where I'm going with this guy. I'm going to put it as the front. Thank you, Cindy. That's my neighbor. She runs every single day, and she looks like it. And I never run, and I eat a lot of ice cream, and that's why I'm 100 pounds overweight. Anyway, back to bonsai. So I still like that as the front. And it's possible we can bring it up with some wire. But the biggest focus for today is to just get rid of that dumb looking root ball. Alright, so there it is. You can see the old root ball still in there. And get rid of this stuff here. I had to go dump it somewhere else. I don't know if you noticed, of course now it's pretty hard to see, but oh, and look at that, and there's a screen from the old pot, the old original small pot, still stuck up in the roots. I made the joke, if there was a law against plant abuse, bonsai artists would all be in jail. Alright, there we go. Beauty miss. Anyway, what I was trying to show you is that it was in a fairly coarse mix. So I am going to use the coarse mix for probably about 80% of the pot, and then do a top dressing of the finer mix. So we've got the scoop. And my bonsai soil is basically all rocks. And that's because when the rainy season hits, and it's raining, not all the time, but it can rain every single day, you really need a mix that's going to drain that water away, or your plants can suffer. So my mix is almost all rock. Lava rock, Chattahoochee rock, a little bit of pumice, some turface maybe, but very, very, very coarse. And as is typical of the case, I don't bring my chopstick. I let my fingers do the walking. And I still left a lot of stuff on here, so there may be another front. And even if I do chop, I'm talking about chopping all of this off right here, this whole thing right there. And if I do, that is a nasty little trunk. And I could make probably at least 2 or maybe even 3 really cool little sumo trees out of this back part if I was going to remove it completely. So I never look at removing fairly substantial growth off of a tree as a loss, because I could always take those cuttings and make some very interesting little trees with them. Okay, and then I've got the other finer mix right here, just a little top dressing. And since this is a Portulacaria, aftercare is no water for 24 hours. Let those scars, so here's the old roots. So, you know, the scar of this old root that I'm throwing away, well, there's a scar on the tree where this came off, and you can see it's all very white, and maybe I should put it in the camera, and herbaceous, and so is the one on the tree. So let that heal over. And the best way to do that is to just not water it for a day. And after that, it's usually fine. Jade are very, very drought tolerant, but they also like a lot of water, especially in the summer. In the heat of the summer, give them good fertilizer, and they will respond with excellent growth with good regular water. Okay, so we are done with that guy. And regardless of the top, the dumb looking old root ball is now gone. This next guy is a piece of work. The old pot was here, and I put it in this larger pot, and it's really grown considerably. As you can see, when I started with this tree, it was just a stick. I mean, literally, it was only as thick as this branch. And as you can see, it's just totally wonky in the pot. Let's pull it out of the pot and see what we're up against. And this is all 100% landscape mix. Still has pretty decent roots. Do we have the screen in there? Oh, I still have the screen. I have the macrame, the little macrame jobbies with the staples, and they're both intact. So I am going to go wash the pot off and use the same pot. Oh no. It's not even 9 in the morning and the wind is already picking up. I swear, it's been so windy here. It's just been ridiculous. Like unbelievable. Alright. So this guy is probably going to need to be secured in the pot. I don't think I'm going to use wire. I may use rocks. And as you can see, when we look at the top, there's a lot of excess growth that needs to be removed, and I'll do that. I'm not going to do a major styling on this guy, but I am going to remove all that excess growth. And that's why I waited to do what I'm doing today with the roots, because I wanted to make sure that it was actively growing before I did this. And this guy is all in landscape mix, which is part of the reason that it has such lush moss, because the moss loves the moisture. And Nias are very, very tropical trees. Very tropical trees. In a perfect world, they would be living in 80 degrees or above every single day. Oh, there's some more of the screen from the old pot. Oh my God. How am I going to get that out of there? Oh God. Well, there's an interesting reduction in roots. I think I may have to really reduce this guy as far as foliage, because getting the old screen out of there might have been a mistake. Maybe I should have just left the screen. However, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And we've got it on camera, so I know there's a song, I just can't think of it. There's no going back. Will the tree suffer from this? It's hard to say. I do know that Nias root super easy from cuttings, so I'm always talking about the correlation between a tree that roots easily from cuttings and one that can take a very heavy root pruning. So we're going to find out. So let's just get rid of all this crud. And I'm going to do the same with this tree. I'm going to give it, this will be the first time it's ever been in bonsai soil. And I want the front to be right about there. And this branch here, I hemmed and hawed about taking it off, leaving it, taking it off, leaving it, taking it off, leaving it. And so far, it's still there. So does it come over here? Or does it come over here? I think I'll stick it there. And boy, I really ravaged the roots on this thing. But, like I said, you ain't going back. Where's this scoop? And Nias are tough plants. And one thing you can say for sure is that the dumb-looking roots are now gone. Including 90% of the rest of the roots. Ah! Oh, there's something that escaped the sifter. How in the world do you get a rock that big in 1/4 inch soil? It's an escapee. I'm just going to use my hands so I can hold the tree up. Okay, so now what happens if I let go? Is it going to timber? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything to the back and let the back drop. Keep it upright for now. Then I'm going to do another little top dressing. Of the finer grain soil. And this is just cosmetic. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, I can't leave it propped up against something. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, can we see it from here? I guess we can, the magic of moving the camera. Whoop. And I suppose we could zoom in a tiny little bit. Alright, so then get rid of all of this leggy growth. And this is how Nia grows. So this growth right here, that's shooting straight up like this, if I did nothing with this, in another month it would be 2 feet long. So Nias are another one of those paradoxical tropical trees that grow extremely quickly, but they don't produce any trunk thickness. You notice that this little shoot here has no thickness, and when it's 2 feet long it isn't going to be any thicker. At least not that your eyeball is going to be able to detect. And I think I really need to go a little deeper because this poor guy really got a root pruning far more drastic than I had expected, believe me. I don't know what I was doing. Why in the world did I leave the old screen in the old pot and just jam it into this new pot without really doing anything with it? It just baffles me. And I have other videos on this guy, so I will make a playlist so you can watch this guy develop. Because believe me, it was just a stick about as that big. And the apex is a nice little pom-pom, so it could probably use a little more definition. We do have great space in between the branches, and it certainly has developed nicely. Okay, so now I'm gonna just do the rock trick. Get probably 3 really nice sized rocks, and then I'm probably gonna put it into a very, very protected space, because like I just said, the wind is already picking up, and we just had ridiculously windy weather. I don't understand. Who knows? But the weather patterns, whatever, it's been ridiculously windy here for almost the entire spring. So let me go get the rocks. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to get them as close to the trunk as I can and nest them so they're all touching. Okay, that should be okay. So now let's see what happens when we move it away from the backdrop. Can it stand up on its own? Alright, well, there you go. I may trim a little more, but I'm going to go like that to do the trimming. Make sure, because you see my scissors, they don't cut through. Now here's a branch that's shooting against the grain straight back, so I'm going to take it off. There's probably another, we've got some parallel branches up in here. We've got some other stuff up in here that I think I can, well, I don't know if I'm going to take that off. I think I'm going to take this off so that we can have this guy here, the back branch. I think the really detailed refinement of this tree is going to be in the future. However, no one can argue that those dumb-looking roots are still there. Because they're right here. And I don't think I'm even going to mess with the moss. As I say that, I grab some. I don't know. Messing with the moss. It sounds like some kind of country song. Of course, you can't get it underneath where the rocks are. So I'm just playing around. To tell you the truth, I'm a little bit scared of just how much roots I took off of this guy. I had no intention of ripping the thing apart. Like I said, if plant abuse was illegal, we'd all be in jail. What is he charged with? Neobuxifolia. Tore the roots almost to nothing. Guilty. And then I don't know how much they give you. What kind of jail time would you do? How about 30 days in the hole? And if you remember that song, then you're old. That's what they give you. 30 days in the hole. Steve Marriott and Humble Pie. And a fun little trivia fact is Peter Frampton got his start in Humble Pie when he was only about 17 years old. Alright, there we go. Could you even see what I was doing? The great reveal. Ta-da! Alright, well, I think I've messed around with this video long enough. And I'm happy to say that of all the other trees that I have, I don't have a single tree that has those dumb roots like these two did. So let us remove the tray. Oh, please don't fall over. I mean, this guy's going to go into a very protected area. Maybe even a little more shade than it's been used to, just to keep it from falling over. And then our little jade tree. Sort of. Kind of like a sidekick. Here's my Nia Bonsai and his sidekick, the jade. Alright, so I like to brag that I never give advice, but I'm going to give advice right now. Don't make your trees look dumb by just plopping them out of one pot into another without doing something with the roots to soften up those edges from the old pot. And before I publish this video, I'm going to make a playlist on this guy so that then you can click on it as we end. So thanks for watching. And you know, I didn't mean to do that with either of these two. I think it was just a combination of laziness and I don't know, haste. I mean, to tell you honestly, I cannot believe that the screen of the old pot was still in this guy. It's like, what? What was I even thinking? Ah, maybe I wasn't thinking. Ah, there's your problem, Kimosabe. He who doesn't think make a mistake. Anyway. the world continues to revolve. And then, of course, the jade, no problem. It's going to recover. Don't water it for a day. This guy here, I'm a little scared. I took so many roots off. And I know they root super easy, and it's the correct time of year. It's still very warm, or it's becoming warm, and warmer. So it should be okay. And if it dies, it will just be another tree in the long list of trees that I've killed. I love the saying that bonsai don't die, you kill them. And, if a whole bunch of bonsai artists got into a room and said, anybody ever kill any bonsai trees? I'd be raising my hand multiple times. So why don't I just end this video and shut up and get on with it? So, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, and you're curious to see if this puppy survives, you can hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And then we'll see what happens. So thank you so much for watching Woodcrest Bonsai.